What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 15 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Sceolan / Winterheart Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, we are continuing to defend Atylwyth from incursions and are pushing outward, especially now that Sceolan is here, albeit temporarily, to essentially take some of the heathland around Atylwyth. We are completely surrounded at this time by enemies. Rats of one or two varieties, greenskins of a couple varieties, and then the Sylvanian vampire counts as well. So it's very dangerous to be in Atylwyth, but I suppose it's a pretty dangerous place to live anyway, so what has changed, really? Anyway, in addition to that, I believe we are, if not in quite a new turn, we're in a new turn. Okay, well, we have a lot of stuff to do, so let's get to doing. Sceolan, you are going to start out by moving to Paravon and taking that. We got to get that landmark for ourselves. Upkeep production is relatively minimal, but still probably useful. Granted, it's going to be difficult holding on to this place because we garrison 3 Hawk Riders, 3 Great Forest Eagles. I mean, it's not a bad garrison, but I do wonder as to how much it can defend itself. Anyway, I guess we will repair, and I'm just going to hope that there isn't... There's probably a rat stack here, isn't there? We saw a rat stack attack Carrick Ziflin. I wanted to immediately go to Massive Orcal, but it looks like we can't go there anyway, and Orion might be able to go from Carcassonne to Quesnel, so maybe we try to sack Montfort and then move southward to Massive Orcal, something like that. Anyway, we shall see. Ara. Let's check who's in Zavastra with Mr. Sceolan here, and then Kappelberg. We know that it's full of rats because there's a red heathland thing here. Alright, so I think we're reasonably safe. I would like to maybe send Isolal back to Griffinwood temporarily, partly to get Draika and partly to get... but we don't know what's at Kappelberg. We could try to go through this way. Wouldn't be very safe from these guys who have a massive amount of movement range as well. Good lord. That's iffy. Maybe I should have checked Kappelberg first. Alright, we will try to carefully move and not get Isolal killed. So start in Vitevo, maybe? We could try the edge of this. And we also don't... wait, do we have a military presence here? Okay, I see no military presence in Prague, meaning we should be safe to leave Kislev. I guess we could just keep Isolal at Kislev for a couple of turns. I mean, Draika's coming back anyway. Maybe that'll be enough to defend it. Alright, Isolal, stay at Kislev until Draika's back. You, Ara. I'd love to go to Prague, but I think that's a little bit too far from where we currently are, so we're going to proceed to Zavastra instead. Frankly, I don't really care about Zavastra, so maybe it would actually be better to just raise it and then move on down. Grab Beckhofen for ourselves, raise Kappelberg, and really valiant defeat. Alright, well, like I said, we're going to swap this army out somewhat later. And oh, I forgot that I had swapped some of the units around. I should have given back the Bat and the Glade Guard. Well, too late now. Well, I mean, they'll meet up again, I'm sure, but... Alright, well, let's manually fight. Well, actually, it's a decent number of troops. Do we have a defensive structure here? It'll be a field battle. Alright, why not? It'll be a quick one, but, you know, nothing wrong with a quickie. Go. Alrighty, here we go. This will be a quick one, and this time the first arrow of Kurnus only knocked out 2 artillery pieces, and the second one knocked out another 1. Oh, that's weird. Did the arrow of Kurnus get weaker, or did the Plague Claw catapults get stronger in some way? They don't have any additional resistances. Interesting. I wonder why that happened. We've seen in the past one single arrow of Kurnus knock out 3 artillery pieces of specifically those Plague Claw catapults before. Weird. Does it matter at all? No, not at all. They're already all dead because we focused them down with both our Lord and Hero and a few extra hits from our Glade Riders, not the Sisters of the Thorn because their range is only 138, so they couldn't get close enough to fire at the enemy without potentially taking hits from the Poison Wind Globadiers and Death Globes. But with the artillery gone, the enemy is doomed. There is absolutely nothing they can do to win here. All they can do is hope that we run out of ammunition before they run out of troops, but Skaven are generally low armored enough that that's not possible against this particular army. If they had a pile of Chaos Knights and a pile of Chaos Warriors, yeah, they absolutely would take all of the hits from the low armor-piercing Glade Riders long before we could kill them. We'd run out of ammunition, but not against the Skaven. And with enough concentrated fire, even Storm Vermin will get brought down easier on the Storm Vermin with halberds and without shields, of course. But still penetrating that armor that they've got. Another Heir of Kurnus comes down, actually manages to miss the Warlord, but hits all the other rats around him. Poor little fella. Or half a fella. And, ooh, it looks like the enemy's going to fire on our Aura here. I still haven't decided whether I want to keep these two on Stags or put them up on Eagles. Firing from up in the sky will make it a lot easier for them, admittedly, to snipe critical targets. I'll think about it. Anyway, we've obviously deployed our units of Glade Guard that we have in this army up on this hill, so the enemy is climbing the hill and attempting to move towards them. But we are fast enough to back away from the rats before we take too much damage. Guys, I just praised your speed. You better back out of there soon. Okay, that was my fault. Should have just backed them off sooner. Not that it's going to matter over much. The clan rats are not much of a threat, and frankly, I think the Glade Guard would be more or less able to fight on par with them, with the Curse of Anra here especially dropping their melee attack down to 2, i.e. basically non-existent. The Death Globes are, or the Poison Winds are out, the Death Globes are out, and that's the threat to our units of Cav gone, so we're just able to intersperse all of our units of Cav within the midst of the enemy army, as they can no longer do anything about it. Our last unit of clan rats gets charged by the Sisters of the Thorn, who take a bunch of them out in melee, and with them, it looks like the enemy army shatters, and the battle is ours. But it was always going to be. Quick little fight. Fun though. And there we go. Quick little fight, no problem at all, and we get a free decent chunk of change. I think we'll raise the place, like I said, for the money. Granted, the rats will probably return there, but I also don't think we care all that much. You want to be on Eagleback? I think you do. Let's keep you on Eagleback, and then we'll move to take Beckhoff and 6,000 gold. Ugh, I wish seeding wasn't so ludicrously expensive. Do we have a technology that reduces it or removes colonization cost for us? We do not. Huh, that's a little bit disappointing. I feel like we should have one. Am I crazy? Must have been a different faction. Yeah, it's surprisingly expensive to get these garbage outposts for Wood Elves. They give us basically nothing, and they're almost impossible to defend, so they shouldn't be that expensive. Otherwise, maybe the game is trying to disincentivize us from actually capturing them. Go figure. How's that ritual proceeding? 25 out of 100. Alright, not so bad. Alright, Dare Talk, you, my friend, are alright. We do have the Sanctuary of Lies attack, which is a possibility. The main issue is that it's a capital. But we also have to stay ahead of the Bretonians here. So we could attempt to fight it and break through those walls. I assume this place is walled? Yeah, adds walls to the settlement as well. Well, it should be a fairly difficult fight. Oh, I guess this is an opportunity to find out whether the cinematic battles with the previously broken cinematic battles with the garrison things now work, as somebody in the comments a couple of episodes ago suggested that they do. Alright, let's find out. Dare Talk? It is time. Let's have you test it out. What do we have here? Shower of Torment. It is some buffs and debuffs, and okay, so no Demonette summons in the middle of our Glade Guard. That's good. That's good. Go. Alrighty, here we go. I am at, ooh, look at that, with the Slaanesh sky and these flowers and everything. It's like Dare Talk completely matches both of the ground and the sky. His colorful sort of, I don't know, peach blossom kind of branches match the Slaanesh color scheme, and obviously the rest of them matches the ground below. It's fantastic. Anyway, this is most likely the last fight we get against Slaanesh. possibly ever. I mean, we do still have the Mask of Slaanesh down in Lustria, but when the Kari gone and the distance to the Mask, we may never get to fight them. Especially as if we go to the Emerald Pools within the center of Lustria, or at least near to Itza, we will be fighting Khorne a lot more than the Mask. But we'll see. Anyway, time to begin. I'm going to start lobbing a lot of arrows over those enemy walls and into the demon nets. Obviously, these are Glade Guard units, so they're not going to be quite as adept at killing all these guys up, but adept enough, I'm sure. There we go. You got to love the arrow rain with the max reload. It just doesn't stop. I hear the demonettes say sweet pain, but I don't know, you're not dishing out any pain, you're just getting hit by arrows and then being banished. It's not the most effective, I'd wager. Anyway, Slaanesh has arguably the best towers, i.e. wall towers and the sort of buildable towers, and we are definitely going to move to knock them out. Oh. Yeah, does anybody remember, does the mod that replaces the, look of all of these towers with the... Oh, that probably wouldn't work anyway. I was about to say the, faction-specific towers, but SFO really changes the way that the towers work with the support towers and shooting towers and all that, and I think that mod would thus not replace them anyway, even if it does still exist, which is a bit of a shame. I really never understood why the devs never changed the towers to, represent the towers that already, like, race-specific towers, because we have the assets. They're right here. Just use these. I don't understand. Anyway, while I've been yammering on about that, we have breached 2 gates, and Dertok himself is working on breaching one of the walls. Takes a little bit longer to break a wall down than it does a gate, but we had to wait while we expended our ammunition anyway, which we are nearly done with. And as soon as we are, we're going to head on in with the Malevolent Forest Spirits, through those gates, through the wall breach, and into the Slaanesh. There we go, last few volleys, the walls come down. Starfire shafts dishing out solid amounts of fiery magical damage to the enemy as well, which is going to help banish those demonots a lot faster than the poison with the Hagbane tips. And there we go, one of the Malevolent Forest Spirits will enter the fray, followed by some Treekin. And Dertok himself enters, followed by more Treekin. And of course the Dryads are going to stream on in right after that. But the balance of power is up to about 60% in our favor, essentially, when the battle has begun. Considering this is a pretty high-tier settlement, we've knocked out a lot of enemy units. Oh, and I bet a lot of those demonettes that were knocked out were exalted demonettes, not just the regular kind either. Not that they would have had an easy time of dealing with all of our Treekin anyway. And the Slaanesh guys once again work very nicely for the Malevolent Forest Spirits in terms of color scheme. We'll claim it for our own. And actually, I think it kind of makes sense to some degree, the sort of color scheme working with the Malevolent Forest Spirits. For those of you familiar with the lore, I'm referring to the sort of Dreaming Wood aspect to Atylwyth. And the Slaanesh there. Kind of makes sense. But anyway, I digress. The balance power shifts about 75% in our favor. We've got some Chaos Spawn moving in, as well as some Heartseekers. And are these? Yeah, these are Heartseekers. Unfortunately, both they and their Fiend charges fail, not quite miserably. At least somewhat, as we pop off the Shield of Thorns, and obviously their charge breaks upon the Treekin. And so they can't quite charge through all of those Dryads, unfortunately. And of course, the Treemen are still there. There's more Seekers or Heartseekers where that came from. And while the Dryads are now in the center of the fight and liable to actually lose a few models, it's not so bad. Dertog's still taking on the spawn of Slaanesh there. And at this point, it's just a matter of time as we grind them down. I'm trying to recall, is there any kind of, well, there's no, the game doesn't have any kind of interaction with the Dreaming Wood and Atylwyth. Would have been neat if they had some kind of interaction, but I mean, the Wood Elves basically never go there because it's super, super dangerous, because it's super magical, and there's, you know, demonic entities, and frankly, the forest spirits are probably not super happy about stuff either. Alrighty. Just there's tactically nothing to say about this army, so I'm trying to think of what to talk about here, because we just have to sit in our blob while the Shield of Thorns plus all of our units allow the enemy to break themselves, attempting to do some damage to us, and of course failing miserably. That's powers at about 90% in our favor now. And while we have suffered a little bit of a few losses, looks like 9 Dryads have died. It ain't so bad. It's almost a free territory, all things considered. Especially as this particular army, as we've seen time and time again, is very, very good against Slaanesh. The all-magical damage is really helpful. The poison on, well, ever since we got the technology that gave poison, everybody is quite nice. The Dryads may have low armor piercing, but that doesn't matter against Slaanesh either. So yeah, works out quite well. Oh wow, they still have another unit of Heart Seeker. Oh, that's a regular Seekers. Oh, they sent their 2 Heart Seekers at us. They're all dead. Now they have 2 regular Seekers. Well, I don't imagine if the Heart Seekers fail, the regular Seekers will do too much more. But hey, give them a shot. There we go, we gave them their shot. They are down to 5% of their HP. That unit fails. There is another unit, however, but the Eagles will intercept it and the Fiends of Slaanesh, preventing them charging into our blob of Dryads. And just because the Malevolent Treekin were distracted and not quite at the front of the line, so I didn't want these guys to charge. And there we go, it looks like with that the enemy losses begin to tell. The demonic units begin to be banished, and it's only a matter of time. I mean, I guess it was always only a matter of time. There we go, the last demonettes are gone, and with that, the battle is ours. Or is it? Who's still out there? You got me, game. Alright, very nice fight. Very nice indeed. And, well, okay, we'll guess we'll see in a second. I do feel like the poor Slaaneshi are terribly matched, essentially, against a Forest Spirit heavy army. They are so reliant on their physical resistance due to their fragility and their mobility, but they can't break through the line of Treekin, and we have magical damage on all of our melee troops. So yeah, poor Slaanesh. Atrocious matchup for them. For the Eagles, the Greagles beat out the Perch Guardians by about 18k damage. Pretty solid. One of them, Malevolent Treekin, got 12k. Very nice. And one of the Tree Men got 11k as well, but a significantly higher damage Delta Gold value thanks to them attacking the, well, higher valued units. Winter's Bite. We should probably name a few more of these. Alright, first of all, oh, this is a tier 4 settlement. Why is the clear heathland basically worthless? Huh, I wasn't expecting that. Alright, well, we'll sack it then, and then we'll occupy it, and I presume we can still do so. Okay, and do it again. And occupy. Halfway. You got a free port out of it, I guess. I am not going to invest in increasing its, or healing, repairing. Well, I guess for Wood Elves, to some degree, healing also does make sense. Anyway, you, Dryads, you can be Poison Sumac. There we go. Drop a few more names in there. Actually, I'm just now realizing that if we end up punting all of the malevolent treekin out of this army into Draika's army, will they lose their names? All right, I'm going to forgo naming a few of those right now, just because I don't want to redo it. It's too annoying. All right, let's name one of the Way Watchers instead. You can be Faith Wardens, like so. Maybe one of the Deepwood Scouts as well. Do we have Deepwood Scouts names? Yes, we do. Bloom Tenders. All right, good enough for now. Now let's keep moving. Who is next after that? Recruiter. You are stuck here because of a number of things. Okay, so great growth of the forest. Not that it actually matters in the Oak of Ages. Colas, then. I guess we can use you to do a little bit of recruiting. Namely, you are going to be using ZOATS 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to say some Wildwood Rangers, maybe? And let's build some Wildwood Rangers. Colas has been waiting for an army for a while, and I think she deserves to get it up and running ASAP. And just when we were starting to fix our income. Well, I guess this is pretty common for my campaigns, where I just unnecessarily bankrupt our faction, but whatever. For now, Branch Wraith, you're gonna move this way. Then, Orion, we're going to have you enter Forest Call's stance and hit Castle Carcassonne, with Ariel, of course. Okay, there's nothing there. Or there's at least nothing to be concerned about there. Ariel, you're gonna move into this army then. Alrighty, there we go. And these two are together. Oh, now it's gonna bother me that the Glade Captain is... Okay, you know what? Yeah, there you go. These two have to be close to each other. Auto-resolve. And why? Okay, I feel like the auto-resolve unnecessarily hates the Deepwood Scouts. Why are they getting so badly damaged? By this. It's garbage. It's clan rats, and granted there's some gutter runners, but really? How? Why? I can at least try to explain away the Wild Riders being so ludicrously fast that they'd close the distance with the rest of the entire enemy army, but in what world would the Sisters of the Thorn and the Deepwood Scouts get obliterated like this? Absolute nonsense. But anyway, I guess, it's about the same amount for sacking and occupying, so I guess we'll just occupy it. Frankly, I'm not sure that we shouldn't just straight up clear it, but there's a Cinnabar mining pit here, and so it may be of value to us to hold on to it. Also, do we have any interesting... I do like that Tandem Striker one, but it's not what we're looking for right now. We need Unstoppable Charge, and the rest I think is not useful for us. I assume that Brienne, Aquitaine... Well, actually, adjacent province is 12. And I assume the adjacent province in question is Brienne. Even though the buildings is -1. I'm going to assume that this is full of rats. Alright, I'm gonna say uncollect the income here just because I don't want to deal with the negative public order. Alright, looks good to me. Recruiter, you're stuck. Ellen Delling, you were going to raise the Black Pit real quick and then return to Lorelorn. Defenders are kind of trash. We have Reichland and Karakadrin. Alright, Reichland, you're just about to die, so just before you do, why don't you give us all your money? Join your warrior. Carl, please. You failed. You should sleep. Rest. You've not earned it, but go away. Anyway. Alright, join the war against the Fecundites, and yes, maybe it's unnecessary that we keep declaring war on all these factions, but I don't like how they're occupying our heathland. It's... Wait, what? Oh, for a second I thought I had declared war against Carl. It would have been funny. But, you know, not so great. And we'll auto-resolve this, even though it'll hurt our army, such as it is. And I'd love to clear it, but I think we have to sack it. Because we have to... Maybe we can risk clearing it, alright. I'm going to hope that we don't get it. Oh, we suffer attrition? Alright, go into ambush stance. We'll still suffer attrition. These guys could go after us, but their army is relatively minimal, and oh wow, we are going to take a lot of attrition damage. Alright, I feel like that was a mistake. Probably should have ceded it and then abandoned it instead, but, you know, we can't hold the territory around Lorelorn right now anyway.
These are dark times.
Anything here would help us against attrition. I believe one of... reload time reduction, Rain of Spines, let's grab that, but anyway. I believe that at least one of the... You know what? You guys go into Aspect of the Oak as well. Frankly, I should have done that earlier. I believe that one of the special locations will give us immunity to chaos attrition, and frankly, it's needed.
Can I offer
yeah, that was really not good. Well, good luck. Good luck, Elendilling. If you die, you die. It's not my problem. He's a lol. You are stuck in Kislev until we're ready for you. Tech Thief, you are not moving right now because I'm saving the cash. Alright, and I believe that's it. I don't believe we're besieging anything, and if we are, I guess I'll cry about it next turn because I don't remember. Sisters, I would like... Yeah, okay, you're fine. Skip unassigned, damaged buildings, outpost upgrade, hero not moved. Yeah, that's the Tech Thief, outpost upgrade available. This is fine, at least for now, and building upgrade available we are not doing at the current time, unless with the possible exception of... No, none of the ones there. The exception would have been if we had any of the infrastructure buildings ready to be upgraded, the ones that have to have growth. But there were none, and therefore we're fine. I think so. And the turn hath ended. And let's see what we've got coming up next. Eotan, you want us to join war against the Dreadfleet? Yes? No, against Shadow Legion. You know what? Go. Go fight Shadow Legion. Just do your own thing. Don't interfere with what we're doing. Stay out of the guy in Veil. It's ours now. Alright. I do feel bad how that event basically destroys a tier 5 fully upgraded settlement from Avalorn, but, you know, again, it's not our problem. And hey, this is one of the few campaigns where Ulthuan is completely fine. I guess basically we got to Morathi before she obliterated Ulthuan, because it seems like she's doing a great job at wiping the High Elves out at basically every campaign lately. Alright, mission abort. Oh, Confederation, that's fine. Well, hey, Blessed Dread destroyed. Wow, well done. Ambusher discovered Dotan... I don't know why... Whatever. Alright, forced encounter. Where is this? Outside of Guy and Vale. We can't do anything about this right now, so we'll ignore it. Sword of Cain claimed. It didn't announce that we had suffered a... Oh, damn. That's not good. Just as we... Oh! It dropped below 50, so we didn't take the attrition. Lovely, that worked out. You're going into Lorelorn now. It looks like we're going to get attacked by Festus next turn, which ain't so great, but there also isn't too much we can do about it. Just going to have to deal with it with the HP that we have. How are the defenses here? They're pretty good, we'll be fine. And we should upgrade the Arbiter's Perch, though. In fact, let's just take a quick look at the building and see if there's any other critical things that need to be upgraded. Aha! Like you. Growth for all provinces out of the Artisan's Nexus. Yeah, Azray Armory. It has to be built everywhere, and Elthisian Grove we can ignore for now. Alright, the building looks good, the money not so much, but, you know, we're working on it. Now let's take a look at what we've got here. The Lotus Yakshir are getting closer to Confederation, which would be nice. Man-Eaters want to offer us how much money for peace? 6.5k, that's not bad. I'm gonna take it. Peace out with them. We'll kill you later. Cult of Pleasure want peace as well, but that I think not, at least not at the moment. Military alliance with Avalorn. Yes, because we want additional High Elven units of various kinds. I am now, however, realizing a minor issue. And that... Ooh, Nagaroth. And Nordland and United Maritime Patrol. Nagaroth will trade with you. I'm just gonna hope that you don't die out there. But at least you'll provide us some cash until you do. We shall see. It doesn't look like they're doing so well, so there's a distinct likelihood that they do eventually die, but oh well. Alrighty, and the rest of that looks good. Non-aggression back with Argolon, Krakadrin, and... Oh, Krakadrin's nearly wiped out. Interesting. I think this is also one of the extremely rare campaigns where Grimgor isn't doing well. He was down to like 2 or 3 settlements last time I checked. Okay, 4 settlements, but whatever. I guess he got a couple back. But he is not having a good time against Zatan, who is taking over all the territory that Grimgor usually has a pretty solid claim on. Where are you going? Yes, okay, I'm just gonna hope that they're going after the dwarfs, which we don't really care about, though it is still somewhat concerning. Anyway, I guess we could get back off, and although I don't particularly like the fact that it's kind of insanely expensive. You get 20 out of 20. If I could just click you. Yeah, you are. Alright, go to Kapelberg. And Draika, you're back next turn, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, alright. Next turn it is. Alright, you are going to... okay, well, we'll just manually fight that at max speed. Alright, circle. Nice for now. Then Sceolan, it's not that I don't like your trait so much, but I think we need to use you as a scout for a little bit. We need to see what's going on out here. There will be more armies moving southward towards us, and we need to pay attention to where they're located. At least Kislev should have a decent garrison in a turn or so, so Isilal will be safe. These guys will turn upon these locations at any point, though, so we can't really do anything about that as yet. We shall see. Anyway, I guess we're starting at the top again. You know what? Let's do the RR fight right now, because I know I'm gonna forget, and you guys know I'm gonna forget. It's happened too many times already. Might as well just fight it. Do it manually at max speed, and then onward and upward. And like I said, this is why it's kind of top priority to send Orion this way, just to transfer out the forces and swap them around a little bit. I think it'll at least partially, or hopefully partially, fix the auto-resolve woes that Ara's army has been suffering. Anyway, are you guys still deployed in the way that I like? Yeah, yes you are. Alright, good. So, set yourselves up like so. Maybe even draw yourselves out a little bit more like so. And you... Huh, why don't you have anger deployment? Did you not have anger deployment before? Eh, whatever. Alrighty, and I need you... Oh, actually, I just realized a minor problem. Alright, so wait. You guys go right at the edge of this wooded territory, maybe even here. There you go. Alrighty, and then yes, sit there. Bats, I'd like you to deploy out here, and... I would like you all... Oh, you lost Vanguard deployment because you're on the Eagle now? Huh. It's kind of counterintuitive. Turn off skirmish mode, set yourselves up like so... No, man. Alright, I'm gonna have to redo their line a little bit. There you go. Alright, like so. Spread out the Sisters of the Thorn. Alright, then... I would like, actually move like so, a teensy bit. I'm doing this for a reason, guys, don't you worry. Alright, you guys are going to immediately fire on this unit. You are going to pop off and reduce their accuracy. You are going to Arrows of Kurnus it. And I'm going to have you move forward. I'll have you fire at the Plague Claws, please. Plague Claws are firing back forward. Back forward. It's like backing off, but the opposite. And back off now. Alright, good. Kill the catapults and back off. Good, minus you, you're backing off too far. Alright. Now it's... Oh, I didn't realize you were taking a few hits. My bad there. Not that you've lost any models, but still my bad. Alrighty, and then you guys reposition like this. You guys reposition this way. Eagle can keep floating overhead because there's nothing the enemy can do about it. In fact, you can fire at the warlord's back. Then we'll speed it up to max. I turn skirmish mode off of you guys. Yes. Alright, you can now move forward. You stop. Max speed. Back off. And speed up to max again. You guys reposition like so. I would like the damage Sisters of the Thorn to pop that anti-damage ability. Anti-missile missile resistance bonus. And, ooh, there's a warp grinder unit there. Careful about that. Bats, I'm sure you'll be fine. Alright, you guys keep backing off a teensy bit. You guys back off and back off. Glade Grider is good. Glade Captain good. Alright, speed up to max. And slow back down. Up on the hill, back it up. You guys might need to reposition. Looks like at least one unit is closing the distance. Let us slow them down a teensy bit. Make sure these guys don't escape. Bats, that's your cue. And I think we're going to have to back our Glade Guard back deeper into the forest. Alright, this unit should be dead. This unit should be dead shortly. And you guys want to fire upon that unit of Warp Grinders. I don't know if you want to, but I want you to, and that's all that matters. Alright, good. And another volley out to the Warp Grinders, please. You guys move forward. Unless I probably would have charged the enemy by now, but there is... no real good way to do it with the Warlord still there, and, well, until now the Warp Grinders were still there, which would have been a problem. Anyway, not that it matters over much, you guys retarget the Warlord, you guys target the main blob. You want to use a few Hail of Doom arrows. As I recall, it does fairly decent damage against low-armored garbage units. There we go, 1 and 2. Forward, forward, and forward. And speed up to max, and the battle should end just like so. Alrighty. Again, it should be auto-resolvable, but, you know, it is what it is. I do wish that the auto-resolve would at least somewhat recognize the strength of light cav. Well, at the very least, for those that don't like building light cav, I think this has been a pretty good showcase of just how strong they can be. At least against certain AI. The Skaven are a really good matchup for them. If we were facing off against Chaos Dwarfs, on the other hand, it would be a really bad matchup for them. Heavy armor, lots of range, etc., etc. Solid spell work, too. And frankly, not so great against, well, anybody that can outrange them, really. Free Sword of Might, not that we care about it, and we will, I guess, occupy it. Again, it's not... Free Balls Anvilsmith, though, and Sword of Might. Do we have another sword that we can... swap with, yeah. Actually, what do we have sword-wise? You know what? Oh, you already have magical damage on your arrow fire. I was going to give you the Sword of Anti-Heroes, but maybe I'll give that to a hero. And we have a Free Forbidden Rod. Crown of Command is fine, as in it's going to a... Glade Captain. We have a Bow of Lauren, but it's actually pretty decent, and feels like it probably shouldn't be a common item. Go figure. We have a Featherfoot Torque, which will come in handy, and the Potion of Toughness, which will as well, but I think I like your Hail of Doom Arrow, so I'm going to keep that on you. And I guess there's nothing else. Alright, we'll have to get rid of the Sword of Might later. Alright, and I guess you will build the Woodsman's Hut. Frankly, the garrison will be non-existent, so if anybody attacks you, there's nothing you can do about it. Actually, honestly, if we have a few spare minutes, or a few spare turns, rather, if we could wipe out the Fecondites, that would be really helpful. Like, rather than spreading our forces too thin, fighting many enemies at once, it's better to try to sort of concentrate and knock out a few enemies, because obviously the AI can build more armies per sort of, per faction. And then we might be able to. Now, I also noticed that we do actually have the missions to confederate these locations, and we have to win against the Greenskins one more time for Vidrioth. And we have to win against Bretonia once. I'm gonna have to hopefully rely on a force counter for that. We could try to ignore what's at Mon. Okay, can I just click you? Good lord, why are the heroes impossible to click our own lord? I was gonna use move Orion to Quenelle, but maybe we'll have Orion then go to Brienne. While... oh great, it's gonna be impossible to click on him again.
Anything is possible.
And I think we'll redeclare war on Ziflin and sack their territory once and then destroy them the turn afterwards in order to confederate Durthu. But that'll be in a few turns. So either way, there should be garrison at Quenelle, meaning we should be able to grab Vidrioth right the heck now. Destroy them indeed, Sceolan. Destroy them indeed. Unresolved. And occupy Heathland. Lovely. Province secured. Forest of Shalon. Win 3 battles against Greenskins. The Pine Crags is an embattled region ever beset by the Greenskins of the Grey Mountains. As such, beneath Vidrioth's eaves are a maze of walkways, root-braced tunnels, and outposts of living defense works that have repelled many an opportunistic Wa. Lord Findol, who holds sway over the realm, has a thirst for battle matched only by his courtiers, taking great joy in slaughtering the Green Menace, who so frequently intrude upon his domain. After seeing off a recent rash of particularly large greenskin attacks, however, the realm is slightly less defensible than it has been in the past. Lord Findle has reached out to you, asking for your assistance. He would like you to bring war to the greenskins, so that their attentions may be elsewhere, while Vidrioth's defenses are rejuvenated. Though he has little fear that any greenskin attack would succeed even now, he prefers for his glades to be fully primed to inflict maximum bloodshed for the inevitable future attacks. A man after my own heart, alrighty, and... excuse me. You will... Huh? Damn, it's gonna... I assume it's gonna happen next turn. It says you will be given the opportunity to confederate, but we weren't actually given the opportunity to confederate. Man, I was excited about that. Why? Because I wanted to immediately grab these armies and use them to attack Scryer. You want to join our war against Scryer there, buddy? You do not. want to say I'd threaten him if it weren't for the, you know, crippling effect on our... Oh man, hopefully you're not going after the waterfall, pal. Nah, there's no way you take it. At least not with this army. At least I doubt it. Well, either way, what are you gonna do? Anyway, Val now. I guess go check Aquitaine. Oh, Nickett himself is here. Alright, so... We'll actually want to send... Oh, Aquitaine is empty. Alright, so I assume they're at Brion then. Alright, fine. To Brion we shall then go, and in fact, maybe we want to set up a masterful ambush and go here. Wait it out. Sceolan will grab Massive Orcal, then we will leave Orion here to deal with all of this, and then head down over the mountains to Skaven Blight. We need to cripple the strength of Clan Scryer so that they can't do this as much anymore. That's the plan anyway. We'll see if it works out. Anyway, Dare Talk. Looks like the Bretonians are... At Talanfang or Santiago, and, well, good for them. We'll take the Caves of Istri here. Yes. Will the game let us auto-resolve this now? Wow, really? Oh, does it have a garrison? Oh, it does. As in a garrison structure. Alright, fine, we're gonna have to fight that in a second then. But Sartorn is looking safer by the minute, minus the disgusting chaos corruption. Which I'm sure they're not super happy about, but there's nothing they can do about it, so they're gonna have to deal. Sisters of Twilight. I would like you to first go to Forest of Arnheim. Next turn, in theory, Stankia's rebels should arrive. Hopefully they don't immediately attack Bleakhold Fortress, which will hopefully give us the chance to sack it, priming it for their recovery. Just in case the main Kislevite faction fails. Also, Recruiter. Do we have... Oh, Eataine. 37, 40... Okay, no, it's going to be a while. I want those Skycutters, more flying units. So what do we have here? Scorpia, you know what? Just take random ones. Morathi's kind of far from us. You're worth a fair bit, and... Ooh. Rebellion? Huh. Oh, that would be military presence, but whatever. Huh. Okay, well... You know what, I'm just gonna take random enemies and do that. Ooh, Leofric. Oh, I was about to say, ooh, Leofric's Fellowship is gonna be helpful here, but not really. Leofric, can't borrow your army. And we need a military alliance to borrow this army. Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe we should go down here and grab Santiago. Frankly, if they want to help the High Elves out, that'd be just fine. Alright, now, who needs to attack? Okay, Colas, you need to recruit, not attack. I don't know how many Wildwood Rangers I want you to have. I'm going to build 6, and I'm going to say that should be sufficient for now, hopefully. You will need at least 2 Glade Captains to buff them. Maybe even 4 if we can get the sufficient capacity for that. I'll think about it. Anyway, Tech Thief, you are fine as you are. Other Tech Thief, you are not fine as you are. You need to steal tech, because you don't have 17 in the bank like the other one does. At least you succeeded with your first ones in the bank. Lovely. Also, how are we doing out here? 205 research rate, alright. I'd get more Tech Thieves, but frankly the Wood Elves don't have a lot of techs, so this kind of saves us time, even if we don't tech up as fast as we might like to. Now, there is one other thing that we unfortunately, I think, have to do. I don't know whether Defalson here is going to go to the Shrine of Cain. What I do know, however, is that the garrison here is basically non-existent, and if he does, he'll instantly be able to take it. And I also noticed that they're not at war with anybody here, none of the other High Elves. Meaning I fear we're going to have to get a Lord recruited here. So the type of Lord that we would want is just somebody like... Lady of the Glade, somebody with Verdant Venture like Delina here. Or you. You have a higher level of Verdant Venture. But I think we wouldn't have to pay for Delina, so let's get Delina. Like so. You sit here.
Lady of the Glade, at your
you grab Inspiring Presence and Air of Kurnus, and start moving through Bolts of the Forest, and just start recruiting cheap regular Glade Guard. Not as cheap as I'd like, maybe, but, you know. And then, you know what, just ugh. I know it's expensive and it's costly, but, well, okay, I just said the same thing twice. Shut up. We just need to sort of discourage enemies for going up the Shrine of Cain. Plus 15% income from post-battle loot faction-wide will still be worth it. Even if this army costs us like 1,000 or so gold per turn. And we get more mileage out of the post-battle loot anyway. I wish that there was like a genuine, like, proper special garrison there, but there isn't, so what can you do? Anyway, Isilal, you're fine. No, you're not the one I was clicking. I want you. You actually need to fight after we check diplomacy.
Yes.
Yes. Alrighty, what do we get? Hey, come on, we're playing Wood Elves. We have to mock the dwarfs a little bit. Scions, nothing interesting, eh? Alright, nothing interesting then. Let's fight some Core Knights. We need money back. Desperately. Oh, you guys have levels. Just the one, but... Wonders of the Forest definitely need more post-battle loot. You will max out Birch, I think. Much as I do like the growth for all provinces. Field of Battles, Flurry of Bows, yeah, Birch. Alright, away we go. Alright, here we go. Dertuk's been told to finish the job, and he's been quite effective at it. The Slaanesh are gone, and the Core Knights, the challengers of the Bastion Stair, are soon to follow. Ooh, like to see those eagle shadows overhead. Where are they heading? There should be some enemy towers to take out, and not just towers, but 3 units of Chaos Furies to face off against. Why not? Let's see how 3 units of Chaos Furies fare against 2 units of Eagles. Alright, we're going to wait until the enemy closes the distance with enough of those Furies, and then we're going to pop off that melee reflection, thanks to the Shield of Thorns, which will help out. So we got bleed coming in from the units of Eagles, as well as the damage reflection, which should be pretty nasty against the regular, relatively fragile Furies. Granted, they do have their 20% physical resistance to rely upon, but they're pretty fragile, so... shouldn't matter over much. That said, one of the Eagle units does take quite a bit of damage. This is the one that led the charge and thus had 2 units of the Furies surrounded. But at the end of the day, all the Furies are destroyed and not a single one of the Perch Guardians falls. Just gotta give it a few seconds and then we'll give them a nice recovery. In a moment. Recover. There it is, or regrowth rather. And with the regrowth they should be at full HP in short order while we move to destroy the enemy support tower. And speed it up a teensy bit while we take position within the enemy settlement and can get our range units firing away as well. With the enemy unable to now commit any flyers, there's no way that they can get at our units of Glade Gardens, so they're pretty darn doomed. Hey there, malevolent treemen. And they're just waiting for the enemy to not be cowards. Come on, you called yourself Core Knight. Come on, charge on in. There you go. Alrighty, Chaos Warriors of Khorne with dual weapons. They're charging up looking so fast. Now we're on the other side. We got more Chaos Warriors of Khorne led by a meatball Chaos spawn of Khorne. Alright, now the dual weapons are not shielded, and thus our range units should be able to do decent amounts of damage to them. Of course, they're still super heavily armored, about 140. And they have a decent 10% physical resistance. I'm surprised no missile resistance whatsoever, but I guess they're relying on that armor of theirs. Though, interestingly enough, most of these guys, like 98% probably, of these guys would be Norskins. And especially considering Khorne is the most worshipped of the Chaos Gods among the Norskins. And all the Norskins have weathered the storm, but the Chaos Warriors of Khorne do not, which is somewhat curious. I mean, obviously it's from it makes sense somewhat because it's a, gameplay thing, but, just a curiosity nonetheless. Anyway, 2 big old blobs of enemies on both sides. But they ain't getting through the line of treemen, treekin, and dryads in any way, really. Gonna be a pretty simple fight, frankly, similar to the Slaanesh fights, where we just have to hold the line. And though we're the ones attacking the enemy, the choke points are definitely going to be to our advantage here. And pretty massively so as well. The arrows will keep coming down upon the enemy until we run out of ammunition, but we're pretty close to that point in time. And while we may take a little bit in the way of damage, we do have a lot of Earthblood available to us. It would be nice if we could acquire some defeat traits or buildings or techs that give us a faction-wide increase to the amount of magic available. Max power reserve, basically, is what I was saying. And we don't have a lot of those. In some of the other factions I played recently, I think Malagor had like 270 wins of magic power reserve or something. We have like 105 in this by comparison. And sure, Malagor is a good caster, but I don't expect him to have twice as much magic reserve as, you know, Ariel or somebody. Although I do think she does get some bonuses as well. So she's probably at around 150. I gotta double check. Anyway, we drop the dwellers below upon the enemy, who followed up by the explosion ability of the Malevolent Tree Man. It looks like the Chaos Warriors of Khorne are pretty much cleared out. I really like that sort of dark green fog, whatever ability. It makes for some nice cinematic shots. But it looks like not all the Chaos Warriors have broken and some of them are still in the fight. Again, the Dryads in this army won't have nearly as much armor piercing as they would in Draika and or Coadil's army. I mean, we could actually make them have enough, but we just don't have the... well... And we would need to put more branch rates into the army, and there's nothing I really want to move out of the army to put more branch rates in, you know? We'll save it for Draika. Anyway, on the battle is very nearly ours now. The bounce power at about 90% in our favor, in the same way that the dwellers below hit the blob of Khornate warriors over on the left flank. We hit them with a Heart of Winter on the right, decimating them pretty darn severely. I do still find myself wishing I could see what how much damage has been dealt by the sort of bound abilities. Not as big of a deal in this particular campaign, but when you're playing like the Dark Elves, for example, I really want to see how much damage is done by Blackheart support. Or when you're playing with like Gelt or Kairos or, you know, anybody who has access to Cataclysm abilities. Teclis. And then you want to see how much work those army-bound Cataclysm abilities are doing. Anyway, with the bounce power at about 95%, the last of the demonic units are quickly melting away, and only the enemy's single entities remain. A Chaos Lord, a Chaos Cultist, and I believe a Blood Shrine of Khorne as well. Again, I find it really weird that the AI still has this behavior where it hides its... it has a tendency to hide its single entities back at the Citadel, or in the sort of key capture point of the enemy settlement, instead of leading the defense. Mostly because a lot of these units, like, these are, like, well, the Blood Shrine at the very least, certainly, and they're supporting units, and they could really help on the front line. But what can you do? Ooh, Imbuement, Bleed, Rage of the Blood God, eh? It's been a while since I played Khorne and SFO as well. Anyway, we're gonna launch a nice Lamentation of Despairs at the enemy Blood Shrine, which takes not a lot of damage at 20%. Actually, what's its spell resistance? 20%. Actually, not as high as I thought it would be. Khornate unit and all that. But I do believe Khorne does have a bunch of ways to get that spell resistance higher. Anyway, the single entities are pretty much doomed, and in fact, only the Blood Shrine will actually fight. The Cultist actually breaks with 100% of his HP, and the Lord runs quickly. The Blood Shrine motorcycle explodes, and with that, the battle, unsurprisingly, is ours, and the challengers of the Bastion Stair are destroyed. Alright, there we go. Easy peasy puddin' and pie. The enemy were destroyed with only 14 losses, and even that probably could have been reduced if we had so desired. We are going to... I guess occupied. I don't know whether we had enough range to sack it, and 500 gold, it's not significant. Hey, challenger is destroyed. Good. I take it we get the port rather than the iron here? Yeah, we do. Alright, not a big deal. Would be nice, but nonetheless, Ally mission successful. Mission successful. Long victory achieved. Lovely. Diplomatic relations plus 25 with all factions is very, very nice. Allegiance gained. Very nice. And campaign movement range in owned territory. Okay, this is actually kind of meh. Just for us, because the Wood Elves don't have the kind of empires that other factions tend to have, and therefore the whole owned territory thing isn't quite as relevant, I'd say. Anyway, over here, Dertog just needs to work on helping deal with these guys a teensy bit, and then maybe knocking out the Norskins. I don't think we really care about the Snakebites Ogres, because I think they'll be too scared to attack us directly. And, oh man, Gunter van Thunga is going to go after the Great Enveloping Swamp area. I was hoping to grab this entire sort of swamp as a line of coastal territories for us. Make a little bit of cash that way, but I'm actually surprised that the Golden Order hasn't diverted more of its armies this way to deal with the Caravan of Blue Roses. But frankly, we'd rather have the main tree here at the Haunted Forest anyway, so not the biggest of deals either. Anyway, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, we're ready to end the turn. Isolal, I hope you're safe, buddy. Oh, this needs to be built for you. This needs to go to our new army. So does this. This needs to go to Orion. This needs to go to either Durthu or another army, depending on whether we can make Durthu fire happy. And anything else interesting? We still need to deal with Blight 10 Scratch. Huh. You're not in March stance, no, you're in Tunneling stance. I wonder if you cancel your recruitment, we might be able to catch you. You know what? I'm gonna do this. I don't like them moving near Waterfall Palace. It makes me nervous, so let's do this. Yes, we'll trespass. Hopefully the Confederation will work. I'll be upsetty if it doesn't, but, you know, what can you do? And you're gonna attack. They'll move. Presumably back around. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. You killed the little jerk faces. Okay, well, it is what it is. Hopefully these guys don't immediately take the opportunity to attack us next turn, as that would be unfortunate. Anyway, just kill these guys real quick. Like so. And pure victory. Oh, wow. Alright, that's an opportunity to see some good old-fashioned ZOAT action. I know you guys are into that sort of thing. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Should be a pretty fun fight, and we are going to wait for our reinforcements to arrive, because this is the first battle of the ZOATS, and I most definitely want to see them. Did I accidentally forget to deploy one of our units? The Loix Tricksters here, but fortunately, they do have their activatable ability Loix Shroud, which allows them a significant increase to their missile resistance, damage resistance, speed, and stock and unspottable, so they are just fine. Plus 20 melee attack. Yeah, Stormblade's is pretty solid. Anyway, the reinforcements are going to make their way onto the battlefield in a bit, so I'm just going to speed this up while we do. Tried to launch a few arrows of Kurnus at the sort of Plague Claw catapults, but unfortunately currently on only one of our Glade captains is capable of doing so. So what can you do? We did Vanguard deploy the Glade Riders, the single melee Glade Rider unit that we have here behind the enemy line, and oh, I noticed that they have a decent amount of armor-piercing damage. That's pretty solid for light cav. Good for them. Anyway, yeah, trying to get the Glade Captains around the enemy army, launch a few extra arrows into those darn Plague Claw catapults, as they're going to be a big threat over the course of this particular battle. There are 3 of them after all, and we've no easy way to knock them down here without approaching them. Fortunately, we were able to hold/hide most of our army in the trees for most of the battle so far, but now that the ZOATS are here, they shouldn't be quite as afraid of the Plague Claw catapults as other units would be. And pretty much all of our other units. The Dryads, the Glade Guard, yeah, they're about to start taking those hits. But what can you do? Alright, and it's time to mosey on in. We're going to pop up a quick flush to stone for the additional physical resistance and armor. As we charge forth, want to try to knock out those units of Gutter Runners and Death Globes so that they don't do too much damage, but it looks like we're going to have to close the distance with some Warp Grinders first, who will doubtless soon activate. And there's Seismic Snare and Warpquake. Not much we can do about that, but we can certainly bonk them apart with our ZOATS while they fight. And if our Zoats should start taking significant damage, we can always pop off that cannot die flesh to stone ability again. And there we go, Death Globes coming down upon them. It's a heck of a melee for the Zoats' debut here, but at least they get to fight in view of the Waystones. Though I do wonder how they actually feel about that. Presumably these Zoats have been here a lot longer than the Waystones have, so Anyway, one of our Zoat units have taken a fair bit of damage due to that combination, but frankly, or thankfully, Flesh to Stone has kept every single model alive, so as long as they back away, they will recover to full HP post-battle. Unfortunately, the other 3 units of Zoats are still very much in the fight. In fact, 2 of them have overrun several of the other enemy elements, including a unit of Rat Ogres, and are now joining the fray against the Ogre Chieftain, the Chieftain on Rat Ogre, Bonebreaker, as well as the Warp Grinders and whatever else we can find. There are other elements to the battle, of course. Back here, our Glade Captains were surrounded by a bunch of enemies, but then themselves promptly got surrounded by the War Dancers and the Deepwood Scouts. And quite effectively, I might add, as they are destroyed. The Glade Riders did charge in and knock out all 3 of the catapult pieces, and now it's only a matter of time. The bounce power shifts to about 85% in our favor. And the Zoats keep bonking enemies on the front line and healing up. And yeah, considering the Zoats all have a bound Earthblood ability on them, I do think that Colas is the ideal sort of leader because of that Warden of the Wield ability, giving her an extra 30% healing cap to the entire army. Which means these Zoats will be able to keep themselves and other units healed up without reaching that healing cap quite as fast. Should be nice. Anyway, and just a few more units. Regular melee Glade... Oh man, frickin' nuts. Regular melee Glade Riders, not a unit we're going to be seeing a lot of. I guess I could have gotten a few of them with Orion instead. I feel like it's better to just use the range ones because even without Orion's buffs, they can still charge into melee and do a decent bit of work. And ooh, did one of the Zoats just actually perish? I should have gone for the Flesh to Stone rather than the Earthblood. Wasn't expecting the Gutter Runners Slingers to be able to bring them down in melee, but it's okay. We're gonna move the Glade Riders into charge and back the Zoats away while we heal them up with an Earthblood. Looks like a second frickin' set of Seismic Snare and Warpquake comes down. But these 2 Zoats are pretty much at full HP. And I don't think the enemy has the capacity or capability to bring them down anymore, though Warp Grinders can actually do a very solid amount of melee damage if they surround something. I've definitely used them myself before to surround an enemy, a Lord or Hero, and just dish out the damage and bring them down. They're at 110 armor-piercing weapon strength. Not to be underestimated, they're just extremely fragile, but you can certainly get them to do some work. Anyway, a lovely debut for the Zoats, and frankly, a pretty fun fight. Love it. Alrighty, there we go. Maybe just a pile of units from several separate different armies, but worked well enough to wipe out the little rat stack and get us a nice 4K for our trouble as well, which we will certainly take. And lovely work from the Zoats. Their army will be next, so we should make good use of them now. Yeah, I was hoping we'd still be close enough to be in range of the Oak of Ages. I don't think anybody can reach us here. I really hope so, because again, the garrison is atrocious. And you'd think that it would significantly buff the garrison as well. I guess it does give us defensive supplies, which we don't otherwise have that much of. Anyway, I would really like to end the turn, because I want to see if we get that Confederation option from these guys. We still need to defeat... who was it again? Not for Bretonia. Alright, where the heck are we even gonna find Bretonians? They're all mostly dead. Okay, judging by the Skaven and Khorne corruption, Illustria has been completely overrun by chaos. So really the only Bretonians we have are those in Ind here. The Revelers of Dolmens, or maybe the ones from potentially, if we get lucky with some of the forest encounters. I mean, eventually we'll probably run into some Bretonian forest encounters, either at the Waterfall Palace or at Kingsglade, but how long do we really want to wait? Granted, there's no legendary lords here, so it isn't that big of a deal. It's just these things will make us more money. I don't know. Skip. Here or not moved. Oh, it's just the tech leaf. Outpost available, that's fine. And I would like to check heroes, though. Tandem Striker still. Sapling Fury is nice. I think I like others more, though, and, okay, Fleet of Foot hasn't changed. Alright, end turn, then. Oh, we're also out of time. Okay, well, we'll end the turn, and we'll see if anything interesting happens. Regardless. Also because it's too late to do anything now. I guess I could pause it and then exit, just to be a massive tease, but, well, now that Nakari is dead, I think we can't do that. Anyway, Dreadfleet, no. You guys should really be able to handle Dreadfleet on your own. I would imagine so, anyway. Alrighty, now, these guys are gonna probably try to assassinate Sceolan's heroes. Might have to give them some of those other heroes that will, or the ancillaries that will reduce the enemy's success chance, because look at this hero spam. The assassin spam will eventually get annoying. It's done so in past campaigns. Warheart of the Shadowgate are still alive? That's kind of impressive. Good for them. Oh, of course. Well, we'll deal with these guys. Again, we can't risk calling our allies for help because we can't risk losing their units and all the allegiance because they'll just randomly break the alliance. Much as I'd like to call them to help just for the additional allegiance from the missions. But it looks like no dice there. Alright, Moment of Truth, Vidrioth. Are you broken? What is this? Oh, Midsummer Sacrifice. Armor for non-elves, speed for elves. Winds of magic per turn or charge bonus. These are all kind of meh. I'm gonna go with Wind through Willows for the Winds of Magic powers. Or for those armies that don't have it maxed out, it's probably pretty valuable. And while succeeds, a new regional power Sylvania, Skullfest Warheart, Drake is back, Anathorema the Savage Huntress completed, more reload time reduction, and oh! It's not offering the Confederation.
The woods of Atylwyth welcome.
Okay, so apparently that's broken. Would have been nice to confederate, but no dice. No dice. Alright, well, you're going back to Kingsglade then. And just go like this.
A shrine to Isha.
And then you, recruiter, will go to Oak of Ages. Alright, you guys can sit there. I am disappointed that the Confederation didn't work, but eventually I figure the public order will. I feel like they'll eventually join us anyway. Am I wrong? Maybe. We'll see. Do we want Wisdom of the Eagle Lords? Still not willing to spend the 5k for it, I will admit, so I'm gonna say no. And it's not like we use enough eagles for it to be super concerning. Anyway, obviously with that we're out of time, and I am going to call the episode here. Next time we continue defending the area around Athlorn for a bit, maybe cripple the orcs at the Massive Fort Cal in order to make sure that we can defend more easily against them, then move southward towards Skaven Blight to knock out their strength. Looks like Festus didn't take advantage of Ellen Delling's damage to her army, and in fact, it looks like they moved away from Middenheim. Most likely this means they will proceed to Kappelberg because it's maybe an easier target with our Ara there. Although, I think the AI doesn't actually recognize that it is not, in fact, an easy target at all. Anyway, out of time, more Wood Elves to come, so stay tuned. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, as they will determine how long this campaign continues to run for. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.